And then I went into electric and doing some, I was in like a cover band, as you do, you know, to sort of learn the ropes. And then went into like our own original stuff. And it was like an alternative rock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
some
we do.
hard stuff.
Very similar
Really?
trajectory.
That's fantastic. It was one of the best experiences, you know, in terms of building connections with somebody I had a shared experience with. You know, those people, you just build a bond that is quite incredible.
There's nothing like it.
No, I don't
Being
think so.
on stage,
Yeah.
playing music, jamming,
Yeah.
it's so personal.
And just working toward a shared goal, you know, 2-3 times a week, on and on.
I love that.
For free.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
If I could do it for a living, I would.
Really?
I wasn't good enough.
Same here.
Yeah, I decided I wasn't good enough.
Yeah. My dad always said, that's fine, but keep working on your plan B because...
Yeah.
And...
That's what happened with me.
Yeah.
I thought I was very good. At 16, I went to England and thought I'd never come home. I just disappear. I disappeared, discovered that there's so many better guitarists who are starving. Like, oh my God, they're much better than me. And look what's happening to them. So I came home. According to my dad, I never mentioned it again, and went on and went to the university and stuff. But my heart is in music always. Music always. I mean, it's my dream.
Yeah.
It's.
Maybe there is an intersection between the two.
It definitely there is. It affects how you see, how you connect, especially in this work that we do on nature. It's all about connecting, because we talk about the value of a living nature.
Yeah.
So you hear that? That's a living nature.
That's pretty well timed, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So somebody this morning mentioned to me that you once looked at a whale in the eye.
Yes.
And that changed your life.
Yes.
What's the story behind that?
Well, it was my first outing. By the way, when I went to see the whales, I knew nothing about whales.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing prepared me for this. So it's not like I had read or studied or nothing of the sort. Right? So you're on a boat, on a 25-foot boat, in a 25-foot boat, middle of nowhere, and this 100-foot creature surfaces next to you.
Unexpectedly.
Yes. Yes, definitely. Because when they say, took my breath away, pretty much, and usually I say, the first thing that came to mind after the shock is, the first thing that comes to mind is what you know from previous experiences. And I was raised by the Jesuits, so the first thing that came to mind was Jonah's story. Remember, gets swallowed by the whale. But Jonah had a happy ending.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what ending we were going to... I kept thinking, she's going to swallow us and that's it. No one will ever know we were here.
Yeah.
But there was no fear whatsoever.
Why do you think that is?
Because she had no bad intentions towards us. And then the eye opens and an intelligent being is looking at me saying, I thought that's what she was doing. She's saying, I see you. I get goosebumps. But do you see me? She was saying, I see you.
Yeah.
I know you're here, but do you see me? And I just started crying. I'm almost going to lose it now. Because that changed everything. Everything changed that day. That moment, that's 2017.
Yeah.
So there's Ralph before 2017, and there's Ralph after 2017. Because that moment, I thought, where have I been all my life?
Seriously.
How is it that by the way, she's the largest creature that ever lived. She's bigger than any dinosaur you would ever can imagine.
Yeah.
How is it that this creature alive, and I had no idea that she existed? And I thought I was an educated person because I read a lot and I've been through a lot, and I realized I was completely illiterate. So that's that connection. And then later, so that's the story of looking. Yeah. The next part was what the scientists and the experts taught me, because I didn't know anything, that whales capture carbon on their body. And then I asked, how much? And they said, well, it depends on the species. And you know, scientists are very exact. They want to know this species, this much. And I said, yes, on average, because I'm an economist. We always think on average.
Right.
What's the average price? What's the average productivity? What's the average wage?
Sure.
That's not how they think. So at night, as they're all asleep, I'm sitting with my iPad, and I'm very good in quant. So I created an Excel spreadsheet. I went to one paper that they asked me, they said, go read it. And there in that table, the scientists had put it all, but he had it per species. So I created a composite species based on the largest. The largest is the blue whale, and then the fin whale 3/4. What did this? And then I created this spreadsheet and did the calculations, hit the button, fell off my bed.
Really?
Physically, because it says 9 tons.
9 tons
of carbon, which is multiplied by 11/3, becomes carbon dioxide. So that's 33 tons. And I thought, oh, that's how many trees is that? So I Googled very quickly, 1,500 trees. So a whale, just by frolicking freely in the ocean, just by living her life, not aware of your existence or mine, just being herself, I thought, she's capturing carbon. She's actually part of the story of how we mitigate climate change. She's keeping that carbon cycle in equilibrium, you see? And I was like, has anybody looked at that? So I started Googling it. No one. It's like, how is it the story, the most important story never told? How is it? And then I couldn't sleep that night at all. Then in the morning, we didn't go back on the water. So I went for a long walk, trying to clear my head, like, what is going on? Because I was working at the IMF. And at the IMF, we were trying to figure out what is the price of carbon that would change people's behavior.
Yeah.
And at the time, the IMF was thinking of a price of $57 per ton and so forth. And I kept thinking, but I'm at the IMF and I'm senior director. I have no idea, about this. So if I don't know anything about this, almost all of my guild doesn't know anything about this. Anyway, so the next day at dinner, on my third glass of wine, they start talking about something called the whale pump.
The whale pump?
Yes, and I said, whale pump?
Okay.
What's a whale pump?
What's a whale pump?
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, well, whales eat krill, lots of krill. So you would think that when we hunted the whales almost to extinction, so when the whale population dropped precipitously, you would think the krill population would thrive because the predator, they discovered just the opposite.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
How is that
exactly?
possible?
That was the puzzle. The puzzle that puzzled the scientists.
Yeah.
So that the whale population tanked, and with it tanked the krill population. How is that possible? What's missing from the equation? So it turns out, think of a triangle in your head.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
The base of the triangle is the whales like to eat krill.
Mm-hmm.
What does the krill like to eat? Phytoplankton or zooplankton.
Okay.
So now draw the next line of that triangle, okay? Now why is that important? Because phytoplankton is where the biological life of the ocean starts. Phytoplankton grabs about 33 gigatons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere.
It's like the foundation.
Exactly.
Okay.
And fixes a lot of it at the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
Okay. So, by the way, that's equivalent to 4 Amazon forests per year.
4 Amazon forests.
That microscopic organ, it's the beauty of life.
Yeah.
Of life longing for itself. So the whale eats krill, the krill eats phyto,
Mm-hmm.
and then the question is, what does phyto need in order to survive? It needs phosphorus, nitrogen, and iron.
Okay.
All right, now where would you get those from? Well, I thought, well, maybe, rivers from land will bring all these minerals into the water. Movement of wind over land will pull the minerals into the water.
Yeah.
But now you're in the Southern Ocean.
None of that.
None of that.
Yeah.
Where is the phyto getting all of that?
Somebody's got to bring it there.
Yes, the whale. They eat a lot of krill, and because they eat a lot, excuse my expression, they poop a lot.
Of course.
And that poop is orange, and orange and red are the sign of ferrous,
Yeah.
iron. So the poop of the whale is fertilizing the phyto. So you eat a lot, you poop a lot, there's more phyto, there's more krill, and you get this virtuous cycle. I was like, what in the world is this? They said the whale is fertilizing its own food. They defecate a lot. And by the way, when they dive and they go up, they move the nutrients. It's called upwelling. And even when they swim horizontally, it's called the horizontal belt. They bring with it also nutrients this way. So they're moving nutrients up and down. They're mixing, and they're pooping, and they're fertilizing the phyto. So I asked the question, so you're telling me there's carbon on the body of a whale, and the whale is fertilizing the phyto, which means the phyto becomes more active, it grabs more carbon dioxide. Yes. What's the total impact? They said, no one's ever done that. But why are you asking that question? I said, dude.
You want to know?
Why am I asking this question? Okay, because the whale, in a sense, is helping to fight climate change.
Yeah.
Just like the trees grab carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and fix it in the biomass and in the roots, here's a whale living her life, just living her life. She's having carbon on her body, and when she dies, they're very heavy, they sink. And whales sink beyond 1,000 meters. That carbon is suspended forever. Unless humans play around with it, it's suspended in the water. It doesn't have to be on the ground, by the way. Anything below 1,000 meters, that carbon is sequestered. So it's sequestering carbon on its body, and it's by fertilizing the phyto, it's grabbing carbon. They said, yes, but why are you asking? I said, has anybody valued that service? They thought I was completely crazy. Well, you have to be crazy to think like that. Why would you think like that? I said, well, I work for the IMF, and I provide a service, and they pay me a salary.
Yeah.
Here's a whale providing a far more important service than I would ever provide.
Not getting paid.
What is the salary?
Yeah.
They thought, well, can you calculate it? I said, I'm a quant guy. You give me that data, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
And what is that important? There's obviously...
What's the importance of it? I'll tell you why. Because at that point in time, this is 2017, these people, these colleagues that I was with, were trying to save the whales. And they were saying no one cares because any ship that hits a whale, there's no penalty. But kill a whale, chop it to pieces, you fetch 40,000 in Japan. You fetch some money in Iceland, in Norway, where they continue to eat whale meat. So in death, it has a price. In life, it has no price. Actually, a price of zero, although it's producing all this value.
Yeah.
It's grabbing carbon. It's enhancing the krill population, and krill is incredibly valuable. But yet, kill a whale, a beautiful living whale, there's no penalty.
So the incentives, it's not just the penalty, but the incentives are out of balance.
That's it. So that's exactly it. So we wrote together, you know, my colleagues and I, we said, what is the value of the services provided by a living whale? Turns out, 2 million over her lifetime.
Yeah.
Okay, with some variations, of course, depending on species and all, but it's not 40,000. So even the idea we're trying to talk to our guild, we're not trying to talk to the scientists who know already how valuable the whales. We're trying to tell our own people on the policy side, the finance side, the general public, that a living nature, living for herself, as the whales are, far more valuable than a dead nature. So why kill it? So it's not only intrinsically priceless, as all life is precious, but it's financially valuable to us.
Yeah.
We're trying to make the argument. So that's how it started, with, I call it me being an accidental tourist, for no vision whatsoever. Just asking the question. Of course, when we wrote that piece, it went viral. The reaction was beyond our imagination. And it created a snowball effect, because the next thing is this Italian dude called me from Paris. Well, no, a scientist.
Sounds like the beginning of an interesting story.
Exactly. So he calls me in my office at the IMF. He says, in his Italian accent, hey, my name is Fabio Bergonzi. I'm like, yes, how can I help you?
All right.
He said, hey, you say the whales are grab carbon. I said,
Yeah.
not saying, the scientists say, I'm just valuing it. He said, yes, but my elephants do the same thing. Your elephants? He said, yes. These are the forest elephants.
Right.
Not the savanna, because he studied the forest elephants. And what Fabio had published in the top journal in Nature, that those elephants are also like the whales, they're ecosystem engineers. The way they walk around and traipse and all this stuff, they increase carbon sequestration in the trees by 14%.
Also not getting paid, I would imagine.
Not being killed, because the tusk of a dead elephant is $30,000.
So there's obviously a parallel.
Exactly. So he said, can you help me?
Yeah.
We need to tell their stories, so we bring to attention their life and their contribution, to the public's attention. And so together with Fabio, same team, we wrote a number of papers saying that just the carbon sequestration alone, by the way, not on the body of the elephant here, unlike the whale, because elephants, when they die on the surface. So that carbon dioxide, that carbon goes back up. But the carbon in the trees, and only in the biomass of the trees, is at least worth 1.75 million over the lifetime of an elephant. So when we did that, then the UN came, UNDP, and called me up one day and says, you seem to know how to value a living nature. Most people value dead nature, gas, oil, timber,
extracting, taking.
extraction. You're talking about living nature.
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't know, I'm an expert, but why are you asking? Oh, can you value seagrass? I know nothing about seagrass. Same thing, accidental tourist.
Yeah.
No vision. Because people ask me now, vision, what vision, man? I said, seagrass? What does seagrass do? Okay. I'm guilty of visiting these resorts, beach resorts, where you walk into the water and your feet touch the seagrass and you start saying, oh my God, disgusting, right?
Yeah.
So I felt guilty having done that. Okay, so they said, you better talk to this famous guy named Carlos Duarte, who's the #1 marine ecologist. So we call up Carlos Duarte. Hey, Carlos, what is a seagrass? Oh, seagrass. Sequesters carbon. When you have healthy seagrass, you have healthy fish stock. When you have healthy seagrass, you stave off flooding. When you have healthy seagrass, you purify the water for the corals. All of these.
That's a lot of jobs.
Of a living seagrass. That ugly duckling turns out to be gold. So with Carlos, we wrote, so you start to see, we write with the scientists. We need the science. And we are financial quantitative economists. We build these models which allow us to value the services of a living. So you start to see a theme. So from the seagrass, we did the mangroves, salt marshes, and all. And you start to see a common theme that is nature, living nature, not living for you and me, living for itself, is not only intrinsically invaluable, but financially extremely valuable, which means it's an asset. So we started using that language. Why? Because the moment you use that language, my guild, I spent 25 years at the IMF in policy circles. The policy guys start saying, what? An asset? I mean, I can make money off of it, you see? Yeah, you can make money, but how? By protecting it and restoring it, not by killing it.
That's where I was going to go with this, because I'm sure there's somebody listening right now that's thinking, okay, if I sell whale meat, I get money, and then there's a number of people that take that money home.
Yes.
But when you say, well, actually the whale, a living whale is worth 2 million or whatever, where does the money come from? Who gets in the end?
So part of it is, so let's step back a little bit. The current model, because you're telling me currently, the current model sees no value for a living nature, sees only value in dead nature. This is what you're telling me. Kill a whale, but so what's the logical conclusion? You're going to kill all of nature. And that's exactly what's happening. When people tell me there's a climate risk, there's a nature risk, it's because the market system grew up to think there's only value in killing nature or extracting nature. But then, unless nature is infinite, we're going to destroy it in your lifetime and mine. And to my knowledge, if nature dies, we die. That's what the Earth system scientists are trying to say. If you talk to Johan Rockström, Carlos Nobre, all of these guys are saying we have breached 7 out of the 9 planetary boundaries. Meaning, this view that's based on nothing, that nature is infinite, has led us into a self-inflicted predicament. We seem to act as if nature is infinite. No matter what you do to it, it replicates itself. That is not true. Nature is alive like you and me. Just like in life yourself, you can't keep giving if you don't receive. I practiced Tai Chi for 12 years. The first movement in Tai Chi is what? Give, receive. You have to give to receive. You can't just receive without giving, right?
Yeah.
Darwin said the same thing. People always tell me, Darwin said survival of the fittest. I said, dude, you've never read Darwin. You should read Darwin very carefully, because Darwin says the species that survived is the species whose members realized they needed to work together. The principle of reciprocity. And that's what First Nations and indigenous people never forgot, is that they live in harmony with nature. In fact, I was raised by the Jesuits. You know, I'm not a religious person, but I just want to show you, it's even in the old texts. In the text it says, give us our daily bread. It doesn't say, give me tomorrow's bread. It doesn't say, give me 1 month's bread. It doesn't say, give me 1 year's bread so I eat this much and I hoard the rest and I raise the prices. None of this. There's a balance, and we're out of balance. So back to your question is, yes, I can kill the whale and make money, but the end of this story is very ugly.
Yeah.
When the whale dies, the whale is like the canary in the mine. She is an ecosystem engineer. When they die, the ocean dies. And if the ocean dies, there's no life. Neither in the ocean nor on land, because it's one continuum, land and ocean. They're always talking to each other. And we are part of that conversation, although we act as if we're not.
Absolutely.
So the recognition of this idea that, yes, I grab, but that's basically saying I can only get value from killing nature. So I have a phrase I always use. Whatever we can kill or extract, we can price. Mm-hmm. But what keeps us alive, we treat as an externality. That is our predicament. And that's why we are where we are. If things were okay, you wouldn't be interviewing me.
That's very true, yeah.
We'd be playing guitar. We'd be jamming right now. Which is fine with me
Which, by the way, we can still do.
Still do.
You just need to find a couple.
Problem. Right? Is the issue right now is we are not okay.
Yeah.
Nature is dying. And by the way, it's nature that dies that creates the climate, not the other way around. It's nature. Nature is dying. The seas is nature. The ice melting is nature. The forests are on fire. That's nature. Mm-hmm. So nature is saying, I'm alive just like you. I can't keep giving without taking. Yeah. And you need to look after me. I am the infrastructure of life. I am the home and where you live. Just like your home and my home. If you don't fix the roof, if you don't do the entretien, it'll cave on you. It's exactly what's happening to us. So what we're doing together with the team, my colleagues and I, are trying to say to the markets, there's a whole new asset class called the living nature. You will also make money, but this time you'll make money in perpetuity and sustainably. Why? Because the new model is, if you leave nature alone and you let it grow, nature will thrive and you will make money. And you may ask me how? Well, I can sell, forget the whale for a minute, let's talk about seagrass. If I have healthy seagrass, I can calculate how much carbon is, I can sell the carbon credits or biodiversity credits. I know how much the fish increase in fish. I have a delta in the fish and I know the value of that fish. When I have healthy seagrass, I stave off flooding. I can calculate the value. All of these are marketable activities that have market value.
As ecosystem services.
As ecosystem services, using market prices, market values. And that's a completely different change from where we were before.
Yeah.
I was guilty of it. I was a professor, And I would tell the students, when should you cut down a tree? By the way, the standard in all econ classes, they'll ask you that question. When should you cut down a tree? And the answer is when the interest rate is greater than the growth rate of the tree, you should cut it down. Why? Because we're only looking at the tree as timber. But the tree captures water, produces rain. It's called green water, enhances soil quality, enhances water quality. Science now, advances in science, allows us to measure all three and calculate the value. So there's a value in the living tree. That's the new paradigm that we're talking about. And if we were to adopt it, it doesn't take much. By the way, it's not either or. It can live side by side with extraction. But extraction is no longer the only game.
No, not a sustainable one.
It's not, exactly. So both, yes, we need wood to build the houses, but you also can leave the forest to live a lot longer life, captures more carbon, keeps it in the ground.
You give
And you
take. I'll ask you a closing question, because obviously we're at the World Ocean Summit, lots of people here today and tomorrow, lots of leaders, entrepreneurs, experts traveling into Montreal to be here. If you could have a big banner in the main room for everybody to see, what would it say?
Tomorrow is going to be an amazing day. The house of tomorrow is going to be much better than today. And in order to live in the house of tomorrow, for tomorrow, we need to recognize, we need to change our relationship towards nature.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for your time.